Hi YouTubers, this is Jeanette. I'm here to show you a little tutorial on how to finish with glazing and highlights and lowlights on oil. The tiger that we've got, lion that we've got there, mountain lion, he is a really cute guy, and we're gonna go ahead and put in all these lights. Right now I'm painting the highlights that the sun would be coming from behind him. And so it's really important to make him glow and pop out of those dark rocks. So you have to really go around and use some light white. I have a titanium white that I'm putting on right now and on his front leg. Then we got to move into some mid-tones because his leg's round, so you have to have a mid-tone put in there to give the illusion of it being round. And then we start adding that to the rest of the mountain lion. The base of the mountain lion is done in acrylics. And so putting the oils over the top of him is really going to make him pop out and have some dynamics. Painting in acrylics alone doesn't give you that 3D effect that the overlay of oils add to it. If you like painting tutorials, I have several that we're putting out there, and if you like to subscribe, it's free, and we can show you some painting techniques and maybe a few a little slower if you'd like to follow along. Right now I'm enjoying just showing you my process. I'm coming back now and doing some highlights along the rocks also that are behind him, because he has to have that dark spot around the rocks. There's just no light coming through there. He's blocking all the light in those rocks. So those rocks are pretty dark, and it gives that drama, that effect to this painting that turns out beautifully. Now on to some mid-tone colors across his back. Right now, with oils, you can blend them in really easily with a towel or with your finger, and then come back and put in the super highlights and then the super darks. With this little fan brush, I'm brushing in some hairs so you can see his fur when you're up close. And that just acts as a little blender as well. And what's a cat without whiskers? So this little kitty cat needs to put some whiskers on him. And let's bring out his face with a little bit more color in there. and also prepare the spots where we're going to pull the whiskers out over his eyes. Speaking of eyes, let's add some oils to his eyes to make his eyes really pop out. What I'm doing here is now going across the edges of his fur so it's not just a straight line. So it looks like he's got fur and it's not so cartoony. Now we're on to painting some highlights on the rocks behind him. I'm using a palette knife, and I really enjoy this technique a lot. You really just kind of lay out some paint, and here again I'm using that titanium white, and then I'll mix it a little bit with some blues and some grays so that it's not just all white. I don't want to cover all the back of the rock, so I just want to add these as like highlight areas. And then I'm going to come back with another fan brush and blend those in and make them actually look like they're speckles on the rocks or highlights on the rocks. So here's the fan brush that I use. And you see I just kind of along the edges of what I did with the palette knife, I just put in the highlights from the sun where the sun would be shining and then blend it out. Making sure that I do leave some dark spots in that rock, like they would be little crevices. And just like the lion, come back with some mid-tones and warm up the space. I think I'm using a purple and burnt sienna. And because my paintbrush is already loaded now with some color, I'm just going to continue to use that rather than pull out the palette knife again. I really like the way the background of these rocks are taking shape. What I did was sprinkle now some darks, really loose ones, and you do that by using either Galkin and your darker colored oils, and pick whichever one you want to use, and diluting it until it's a runny consistency. And as a matter of fact, I really like some of these drips, so I'm going to be highlighting other areas with even darker drips. And the speckles on the rocks over top of that white titanium really looks nice. So here I've just taken a filbert brush, and with that same really diluted color, I'm coming in and creating new drips coming down off those rocks. In the underpainting, this is a similar technique that was done to get those initial drips on the rocks, but we did it with the acrylics and water. So now you see you can also get drips with oil. And I really like the drips so much that and the speckles so much that I actually ended up putting some inside of his fur too, and just gave it a more cohesive look. After staring at this for quite some time, I came back to it and realized that he really needed to have a little bit of a lighter colored right leg hitting in the shadows. In there, it almost looked like he was being amputated. So I came back later to add the extra lighter leg in there. Well, if you like this tutorial, subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you on the next one. He actually turned out really pretty fabulous, and he's a good little boy cat.